everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of From Hope to Glory at Truro City with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So, welcome to the Vanarama National League. 2 back-to-back promotions mean we've moved from Tier 7 in English football up to Tier 5 in English football for this coming season. It's going to be a bit more tricky. The press suggests that we might struggle a little bit. I'm not so sure about that. I think we can give this a good go and maybe finish mid-table if we're very lucky. But let's see how we get on. And today we get to check out some transfer dealings and we play Halifax in the first league match. So welcome back to Truro City. I have had a very busy summer. We'll talk about the transfer dealings in a moment. We'll look through what's coming up in the league season. Halifax is the team for today. But first off, let's go straight into the league and have a look at the the season preview, and just check out what's in store for us. The suggestion from the season preview is that we'll be in about 18th position out of the 23 that are in the league, so they don't suggest that we're going to be that good. I think we can do a little bit better, but what you will notice right the way from 14th down to 20th, we're all at 50 to 1, so there's lots of room for movement in that section at least. And then we'll have to see if we can get a bit better than that and maybe finish mid-table. That's the hope for this season, but it's very difficult to know what the quality is going to be like. I've looked through this Dream Team 11, and it is good. There's some good players in there, but not all of them are that great. Let's go and have a look in, for example, at Minnow, who is in the centre of midfield in the Dream 11, but in theory he plays as an attacking central midfielder, but has only got passing of 8 and vision of 9 and long shots of 6. Physically, though, he's absolutely immense, and that's what you'll find that a lot of this side is based around. It's about the physical nature of the players in it. And I think, compared to a lot of the squads, we've got a pretty good physical starting 11. So I'm fairly confident, and we do have one player in this particular setup for the Dream 11, and it's this guy, Craig Doyle at Truro City, and I will introduce you to him in a second as we look through the summer transfer business. So this is the transfer history page. You can see that we got rid of about 4 of our youngsters in our under-19s that have gone out on loan for this coming season. To be honest, at the moment, the new gens coming into the club are not very good at all. None of them have a chance of getting into my first team squad at the moment. So we're going to have to improve that aspect of the club as we move forward. But for now, there's nothing to speak of in there. Dan Rooney left for Glentoran on a free transfer at the end of his contract, pretty much. So he's out of the club, and we bought 11 players in, so you can see that again we've had a decent turnover of players. If we go and look at the released players, there's a whole load there that came to the end of their contract that wasn't worth me keeping. A lot of them, though, you'll notice, were sort of the second 11 string players, and so we have had to change quite a lot of that. I think there's about 4 that I've bought into the squad that have made it into my first team 11. So some of them, my first team 11, have dropped down to the second 11 and therefore improved the depth of my squad overall, I would suggest. I'm not going to introduce you to every single one of these today. What we're actually going to do is move straight into the pre-match tactics page, and whilst looking at the pre-match tactics and figuring out how we're going to play this year, we're also going to look at those that have made the starting 11. So in terms of the pre-match tactics, you can see that for this season specifically, at the start of it anyway, not a huge amount has changed. We're still in the 4-2-3-1 formation. We're still using the direct counter-attack, but I have just switched it from positive to balanced just because I want to see how we get on in the first few games of the season against some opponents that are going to be difficult for us to judge how good we're going to do. So we're not going to go all out at them early on. We're going to sit in a more balanced approach, but pretty much everything else as part of our tactic and our formation and style of play remains the same as it was last season. So if we look through this starting lineup, the starting 11, you can see that we've got Alfie Roberts and Aaron Jones and Callum Doyle, and Romain Mundell. And this guy, Sam Knowles, are the team members that have come into the club this recent transfer window and have made it into the first team 11 for today. Oh, there's another one there as well in Lewis Richards. Now, 2 of these are not going to be my starting lineup all the time, but Hammond, the goalkeeper, and Rounsfell, the left fullback, are both just a little bit under their fitness at the moment, so I'm not risking them early on, and so we're just going to give them a few more days to get back to full fitness before we use them. So left back and goalkeeper might not make this starting lineup all the time in terms of those that are currently in there, but there are some very good players, and we've got 2 in particular that have come into the club that have completely changed the star ratings for our players. Whether you take notice of the star ratings or not, the only thing that I'll tell you is that Mundell and specifically Doyle coming in have completely changed what the star ratings of the squad look like, and you can see that potentially those 2 players should have a big impact on us this coming season. So let's just quickly go through a couple of these new players. So Alfie Roberts, we'll just go in, which way are we going to do it? Let's go this way and have a look. So these are the attributes for Alfie Roberts. You can see that he's got a lot of gaps in the physical part of his game, but in terms of goalkeeping attributes, he's actually pretty decent for this level, and he's got a couple of other good mental ones as well in positioning, determination and decision. So all around, this guy will push Hammond for the first team regular place, and will get an early opportunity to do that today. But in theory, Hammond still starts as our number 1 goalkeeper when he's fit, until he stops performing, basically. So the next one on the list is a new right back. This was such a difficult position to fill. We lost one of our right backs from last season, Walker, I think his name was. He left the club because he just wasn't getting game time, wasn't good enough. And we do have the normal right back from last season, Morgan, still at the club. I'm going to give Aaron Jones just an opportunity to play there to start with, but it's not a position that I'm overly happy with. This is just the best that I could find for how we were wanting to set up this season. And you can see that Morgan sits on the bench and will absolutely get game time here and there. Of course he will. And he might even regain that number 1 spot. But just for now, I'm giving Aaron Jones a chance. Kazoo stays in the starting lineup this season as one of our starting central defenders. Stavru drops to the bench primarily, and that's because of this guy. Callum Doyle has come into the club, and I think at age 18, there is one glaring obvious problem in this guy's makeup of a squad, of a first team player, and that is his heading. But actually, if you look around the rest of him, he's 6'3", he's got brilliant jumping reach, and he's got a lack of agility. But the heading agility aspect of him is being worked on in training. Other than that, this guy is miles ahead better than what we've got in the club. 17 tackling, 12 marking, 12 leadership, 17 determination, concentration of 13, high physical attributes pretty much all the way along, other than that agility. And I think this guy's going to be a superstar for us. If he starts well, it could be that we don't see him for too long at the club, because somebody higher up will be interested in him potentially. So that's Callum Doyle, and I think he's going to be a superstar for us. So watch out for him as we go. So the next one is Lewis Richards. And as I say, Rounsfell will normally be in this left fullback position. I like the fact that Rounsfell plays as the inverted winger. I couldn't find another good one to bring into the club. But what I have got is a fairly sound defensive fullback in Lewis Richards. Again, just like the right back, fullbacks have been really hard to find good ones at this level of football, I've really discovered. But he's got pretty decent physicals, a couple of key attributes in his mentals that are good in terms of decisions and positioning. He's got a decent amount of tackling and heading. Marking could be an awful lot better. I'd like him to be able to cross the ball, but he is going to be a more defensive version of a fullback for us. So again, it's just the best I could find, and it's disappointing that both fullbacks are a little bit weak in comparison to some, but it's a situation that we'll be continuing to look at in January potentially. But anyway, for now we've got Richards in at left fullback, but Rounsfell is still in the club. When his full fitness returns, he'll probably be back in the starting lineup. Early remains as our Carrilero. And then we get the second of our big new summer signings, really, and it's this guy, Romain Mundell, and he comes in to play the Metzala role. And again, he's got a couple of misses in terms of his passing isn't quite as strong as I'd like. But if you just look in terms of the Metzala role of things like long shots and work rate and physicals, there's good decisions in there, a bit of flair as well. I think this guy's going to be quite useful to us, to be honest. And he played very well in the friendlies that we'll have a look at in a minute. So far so good. Physicals to die for in this particular guy, which is fantastic, and that's mainly why we brought him in to play the Metzala role. A little bit more passing is being worked on in training again, but other than that, I think he's going to do well for us. So that's our central midfield. We've got a guy in on loan, and if I remember rightly, where has he come from? He's come from Stoke. The goalkeeper came in from Derby. This guy's come in from Stoke. And you can see, as an attacking winger, much better crossing and dribbling than we've had before. Good first touch. Off the ball is good. Flair is excellent. Pace is high. Acceleration high. So he's got everything that I need him to have, whilst having a couple of little issues here and there. The mentals are not particularly strong, but physically and in terms of his technical abilities, this guy could be useful to us on the right-hand side. We've still got McKenna in the club. He doesn't make the starting lineup today. He's got a little bit less in the crossing and dribbling, a bit more rounded in other aspects. So he will get game time and he's got some more experience. But at the moment, I really want to see what Sam Knowles can bring to the team on that right side of midfield. Tyler Harvey remains in the central attacking midfield role. We do have a little bit more competition for places now with Lewis Watts coming into the club. I think this guy is going to take that position before too long, but just to start the season, I'm allowing Tyler Harvey to play to give a chance to him to show that he can cope at this level. But in terms of what he brings to the club, there's a lot in there that's very positive. It's just those physicals that let him down. So far, it hasn't impacted us. If this season it does, we've got a couple of options in and around the squad, but we'll have to wait and see. Salam keeps his position from last season, but we do have backup for him, Duke McKenna. So we've got a McKenna, and now we've got Stephen Duke McKenna. He's a more rounded, all-round player than the other McKenna is, and can play on both wings, so he will find himself on the bench quite a lot this season, covering those positions, and potentially taking that left side midfield berth from Salam if he's not performing well. So again, a little bit more experience than some of the youngsters that we've got in the squad, and I think all round is quite a good player and worth having as we move through this season. And the last one on the list, of course, is Andrew Neal. Keeps his place from last season because of what he's done for us so far in this particular series. He got 32 goals in 36 matches the first season and 31 in 33 last season. This is another step up for him, though, and we do have a good option on the bench. Charlie Ball comes into the club. Might like a little bit more pace from him, but other than that, 14 finishing, 14 dribbling, good decisions, flair, off the ball, anticipation, fitness is good. Little bit more determination, maybe. Composure's okay, but I think this is a good backup. And that's the basic setup for what will be mostly our number one starting 11 and bench for this coming season. We have got some others in and around the squad that we haven't been introduced to yet. That'll happen as the season progresses, as we've done previously. But the setup remains the same. There's a few new faces in there. So before we go into the match, actually, let's go and check out what we've managed to do in the friendly matches so far before the start of the season. So as you would imagine, some of the friendlies that we put in place were fairly simple ones just to get match fitness up, but get some confidence in the club as well. We did in the end lose one of our 6 games, and that was against Weymouth. We lost 4-2. Bit disappointing, but we had a couple of injuries at that particular moment. But what I want to show you before we go into the game is if we look through some of these, the likes of Andrew Neal got a hat-trick in the first of the games. If you look into the second game, you'll see that Charlie Ball, comes in and gets a goal there. We've got the likes of Mundell scoring, Charlie Ball again, Mundell, Charlie Ball, Andrew Neal. There's goals from a few different positions around this squad, with the likes of Kazoo from the attacking corner kick kind of area. He's come in with a goal or two here and there. And so far, it's looked pretty well rounded with some good attacking play. We have let occasional goals in, and those 4 against Weymouth were not particularly good, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep a reasonably good defensive shape in the early stages of this season. This is going to be tricky. I think that we can compete, but we'll only know that in the next few games. But up until this point, the first 2 seasons have been fairly straightforward. Are we in for a bit more of a tricky time? We're going to have to wait and see to find out. But first off up for us this season is Halifax. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So at the start of a new season, we've not a real clue as to how well we're going to do. I've kept it fairly simple in terms of the first team talk. I've just told them to go out there and impress me and see what they can do. No particular gesture given, really. It was just a very open team talk. We're away from home, which is always a little bit tricky at the start of a new season, but let's hope for a good account for ourselves in this particular match. Halifax were predicted to finish a few positions above us in the league, so it could be quite a tight-knit game potentially, and we'll just have to see if we can get a couple of early chances and maybe nick an early goal that will settle any nerves down. And it's Knowles down the right hand side, and we get that early goal within 6 minutes of the game starting. And it was Sam Knowles down the right hand side eventually found the ball, took his a little bit of time to settle himself. He picks up the ball, gets past a defender fairly easily at that point there, and then crosses the ball into the far post, and Salam off that wide left-hand side, charging into the penalty box, gets on the end of it with a good header, and we do go 1-0 up after 6 minutes, and that's a very good start. And it's a goal kick taken by Halifax, but we win it in the left fullback position. Good opportunity to restart another attacking move, and it's Salam down the left-hand side. Is he going to drop it back? He doesn't. He drops it inside to Mundell. He drops it back, and then the ball over the top for Neal. Give him the chance, and he doesn't quite make it. The goalkeeper closes the space down enough and gets enough on it for them to then boot the ball clear for a corner kick to us. Harvey with the corner kick, and it goes to the near post, and there's a very, very good header at the near post from Doyle, but it goes narrowly wide of that near post. And a corner for, oh wow, that was a really quick highlight. Corner kick came in for Halifax. We didn't see the build up for the corner kick. We just saw the kick itself, and it was a good delivery again to that near post area. And on this occasion, one of the attacking players for Halifax does get above our defence, gets his head on the ball, and we do go 1-1 after 18 minutes of the game. Very disappointing. It caught me by surprise because we didn't see the build up to the corner kick itself. So it kind of seemed to come out of nothing, didn't it, really? Harvey with a free kick for us, though, to that far post. There seemed to be a little bit of a problem in the defensive unit there for Halifax. A ball ricocheted around a little bit. We'll have to look on the replay. But eventually, it falls to Callum Doyle. And there's the goalkeeper parrying it out, but he doesn't get a good hand on it. Doyle's there for the header. The goalkeeper is out of position, and we go 2-1 up, and it's a debut goal for Doyle from the back, going up for one of our free kicks, which is really impressive. And again, that heading, that lack of heading, didn't seem to hurt him there, did it? And again, he gets another good header on target, but this time they managed to get it clear and come at us down our right-hand side. And in the end, we had to give a free kick away just to stop the momentum of that particular highlight. But we do so without getting a yellow card. So that was positive. And we are approaching half-time. It's been quite an action-packed first half, really. Lots of opportunities. Let's check in on the XG ratings. It looks like we're doing pretty well. 1.29 XG rating for a 0.22 for Halifax. So they've been quite lucky to get their one goal. But I think we're pretty good value for our lead, really, at half-time. So it gets, we go to into the dressing room. I outstretch the arms. I say, I'm happy with the performance. Keep it up. And we can basically just go straight into the second half and just see how we cope with the fact that we are leading in the Vanarama National League in our first outing. A good throw-in, but it's intercepted by Knowles. And he drops it back, and then the ball goes over the top for Neal, and again he gets the chance, and this time he makes absolutely no mistake, and the goal-scoring machine from the last 2 seasons is up and running this season in the first game, and that's really important to get his confidence high. And it's eventually the ball came over the top from Harvey. He latches onto it, takes his time, allows the goalkeeper to move early, and dinks it over the top of him, doesn't he, into the open net. And we go 3-1 up after 51 minutes of the match. And it's looking pretty good so far. In a few minutes, we'll think about making a couple of substitutions just because the early season, we don't want to wear anybody out and cause them injury issues through exhaustion. Again, we eventually win the ball in our right fullback area, and it's Knowles goes over the top this time for Neal, latches on again, and again he makes no mistake. And at 63 minutes, this is really, really good. I'm kind of surprised, am I? I don't know whether I'm surprised or not, because I think we're good. I think we're a really decent side at this level, but the preview rating of 18th as a finishing position from the media looking in on us has baffled me a little bit and made me think that we're not quite as good as I think we are, maybe. But actually, I think we're decent, and I think we can give this a good go to at least finish mid-table potentially. So we're going to make a couple of substitutions, bring a few people in for a little bit of a run out. So Stavru can come in and replace Kazoo at the back, give him a run out, and then we've got 2 players that are looking a little bit less in conditioning than the others, and it's Harvey and Salam. So Salam comes out, and Duke McKenna, he can go in, and then we'll bring Petit on, but we'll switch Petit and Mundell over, and Mundell can play that slightly more advanced role as well, so that enables us to keep the shape properly and keep people in positions that they're accustomed to, I would suggest. It's a throw-in though for Halifax down their right-hand side, get it into the box, and a good attempt, and then they hit the woodwork, and then we eventually get it clear. But it was a little bit scrappy from our point of view, being able to block the shots and close down the players, and it went for a corner kick. So the corner comes in to the centre of the 6-yard box, but we get it partially cleared. Mundell picks up the loose ball for us on the edge of the box and holds up the play nicely. Petit takes over down the left-hand side onto Duke McKenna into the box, crosses it in, but there's no one quite where he put the ball, and it goes out for a throw-in to us right down near the corner flag. And it's going to be Richards with the long throw-in, high and long, into the box. The goalkeeper absolutely messes it up. He charges out of his goal, tries to punch it away, gets the punch all wrong, and the punch ball goes over behind him as he ran out, and it left a completely open goal for Neal to bang the ball in the back of the net, and he scores a hat-trick on the first day of the season for a 5-1 lead, still with 15 minutes of the game left, which is brilliant for us. Another opportunity for Halifax coming in, and they do get another goal, 5-2, a good cross in to that top of the 6-yard box, and the defenders were a little bit leaden with their jumping at this particular point. If we watch it here, I think what side's that? I think that might have been Stavrou, and he didn't quite get up as high as the attacking player. And we do go to 5-2 with a corner kick for Halifax. They're putting on the pressure, but we get a good headed clearance. Looks like Mundell's going to pick up the loose ball, and he does. 2-on-1 we are on the goal at the moment. They get a couple of players back and reset themselves, but we do keep the ball just about. Mundell picks it back up again down the right-hand side. Jones takes over Petit at the top of the penalty box, holds up the play. There's a fantastic shot from Duke McKenna, but it does go over the top of the crossbar for a goal kick. Is that going to see us through to the end of the game? We've got about 2 minutes plus 3 minutes added time for injuries. Into the 91st minute, there's another chance for Halifax, but a good block on the far post. They get another chance, and eventually they do put it away. We do have to be a little bit more secure at the back. From some of those set pieces, we are struggling, and there was an absolute ton of pinball in the box from just ricochets all over the place. There's another one coming up there from a good clearance off the line, but it falls directly to a striker. And Semedo for Halifax puts it into the back of the net. And 5-3, eventually we get to the final whistle. It was a little bit hairy here and there. Offensively, I'd say we were fantastic. Defensively, I think there's a little bit of work to be done, but not too bad. And we come away with a 5-3 win in the end for a good 3 points. I'm not going to overanalyze this performance today, only because we've spent some time looking at transfers and other bits in this particular episode. Don't want it to go too long, but normally at this point we would analyze the performance. We're just going to say that in terms of shots on goal and shots on target, we did pretty well comparatively. We got a very good XG rating. 47% of the possession, I think, for a counter-attacking style is decent. And the one thing that I would like a little bit more is the passing completion. It's at 78% today, and I always want it just to be a shade over 80 if we can get it. So something to work on there. But I think the balanced approach on today's game worked pretty well. We can figure that a little bit as we go through the season as to whether we need to rearrange anything in our tactic. But for today's game, I don't know if we could have asked for a lot better than that, really. So here we are back in the schedule page to finish off this particular episode. We're just going to check out what we're going to do next episode. And we've got a fair few games coming up in the remainder of October. And the game that we're going to come back to next episode is the Hartlepool match at home against Hartlepool in the Vanarama National League. You can see that we're in the FA Trophy again. We've got an FA Cup second qualifying round against a team that we don't know about yet. That hasn't been drawn. So those are the cup competitions we're involved in this particular season. We'll see whether we can put a run together, especially in that FA Trophy. The expectation is that we get to the first round proper of the FA Cup. So we'll be looking to do that as well, but most of that's going to happen off screen as we focus a little bit on the league. So Hartlepool come up for us next episode. That's going to be a tricky game potentially. If we go back into the season preview and just check out where Hartlepool are expected to finish, that'll help us understand what sort of expectation we should have against them, and let's see if we can find them. They sit in 7th in the thought process as to where teams will finish this season compared to our 18th. So it could be a tricky game away from at home, for us though. It helps us out a little bit. You can see that the likes of Halifax that we've just played, we've got Torquay coming up soon, we've got Barnet I think coming up soon as well, if I remember rightly. Let's go back into the schedule page if I can click the right button. Yes, the likes of Barnet coming up, and there's Torquay, etc. So there's some winnable matches around in the early part of the season. And then next episode, we'll come back and play that Hartlepool match and see how we're getting on in the early stages. But so far, pretty much above anything that you could hope for, really. A decent first day win. That's going to do it today as my voice begins to go. Excuse me. But yeah, that is going to do it for today. Brilliant opening game. Let's see if we can keep up the momentum. The friendlies have been good. The first game has been good. onwards into the season. Thank you for joining me again for another season of this Truro City series. I hope you're enjoying it. I know I am immensely. I think we've got a really good challenge on our hands to get out of this division, but I think it's possible. But until next time, thank you for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. There's lots of ways to get involved through Discord, through Twitter, through my Patreon, all sorts of stuff in the links in the description below, so check them out. Click that like button on this particular episode. Why wouldn't you? We got a brilliant win in the first day, so if you could click that like button, that'll help me get seen by lots of other people and continue to grow my channel. Until next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.